Holy balls. This decade's over, isn't it?
Well, almost. But why not start the party early? This decade has pretty much been a mess. But maybe that's just me. I spent most of it going to college and playing a Call of Duty not even from the decade.
Please come play with me. I'm hosting a ground war lobby. No capping.
And pop music wasn't able to escape its mediocrity either. The decade opened with pop music at its strongest. Then the hipster movement shoved its way into the Hot 100 and broke every genre into messy chunks. Yes, the All-Stars were still around, but we let niche overachievers butt in. Macklemore, The Weeknd, Walk the Moon. Acts like this should have never made any waves, but 2015 threw the hit parade for a loop. So much so that it broke completely.
Don't let me down.
We've never really recovered from that year, and even if you somehow didn't hate it, the change was definitely there, and pop music was never the same.
So let's celebrate the end of this mess of a decade by celebrating the best and worst it had to offer. Together.
Yes, I'm doing both, and I'll be starting with the first 10 of each. Why 20? It's been 10 years. 20 is being nice. Rules! I took only songs that made the Billboard end of year from 2010 to 2018. 2019 isn't over yet, but if it's got a decent shot at making it, then it's here. And if it made an appearance on the year end for 2009, I disqualified it. A couple of these I'll talk about in the honorable mentions. And keep in mind that a vast majority of these made my end of year lists, so if they did, I may be a little less detailed about them. I'll have a convenient title in the top corner telling you where it placed in one of my lists.
Also, never forget that this is my compiled opinion. You aren't going to completely agree. Our music tastes actually developed differently over the decade, Rick.
I'm bored of stalling. Welcome to the top 20 worst songs of the 2010s. The 10s? The second decade of the millennia? Whatever. Call it what you want. Number 20.
Oh, I'm going to relish this start, because after this, I'm on songs that I've already pounded.
Over the decade, we learned a lot about Kesha. At first, she was just thought of as blatantly provocative with some catchy tunes. Then we learned that her career may not have been under her control. But hey, we know who came out the real champion.
This is your best pop record for the decade. I mean, that or After Laughter, but that's not really a pop album.
The truly sad reality of it all was that everything that followed TikTok was just terrible. It was either super watered down or shameless.
Or just unlistenable.
Do I blame her? Nope. I think it's Fucko's fault. The song didn't age well in 2010. It's definitely not ironically good now.
Unless you giggle at playground taunts.
Na boo boo indeed. The song is a non-stop assault on your senses. Everything is turned up to nausea out of 10. The autotune is so rank, I'm not even sure she was singing the same notes originally.
Lose your clothes in the crowd.
I hate it.
So Take It Off is both number 20 and fascinating because I think they just released it to see if people would buy it. And they did.
It just sounds like a 2010 YouTuber song. Maybe it's just expectations being completely shot, but this song leaves a worse taste in my mouth than all of the other memorably bad songs around it. Produced by a sex offender, unwillingly performed by a future legend, and useless out of the gate. No more Kesha until the best list. Next. Number 19.
Holy Grail.
Oh boy, watch out for the power collab of 2004. Honestly, would have been a better song if they complained about how old they were instead of Fame, that cruel mistress.
Let me see if I have any tissues in my wallet. Oh, crab apples.
I pretty well nailed it the first time. This song challenges you to listen to it. Pointless just doesn't cover it. The length crushes your spirit even more than the smell of teen spirit. 2013 was a high point for Timberlake, and instead, he took this opportunity to preview 2014 early. Ugly covers it. This is the worst thing both of them did, and they shared in the glory. And you wonder why I didn't like 2013. Sheesh. Number 18. Those first two just deserve to be here. Who wanted that sludge on the pop charts? These songs are supposed to be fun, catchy, massive.
Just, why is everything so heavy? Oh! More like one hit blunder, if you know what I'm saying.
So about this being a stretched out garbage sample. It's a stretched out garbage sample.
What do you want from me? Thorough critique and analysis? Get out of here!
Let's start with a comparison to its inspired follow-up.
Really inspired some fantastic art there, Kiara.
Down is also total shit, but in terms of experimental nonsense, there's effort comparatively.
Excuse me. Trying to say good things about Down is giving me a hernia.
Look, all in all, Lady Marion Hill isn't a bad singer. She's got that chill jazz vibe where I'd probably recommend not pop, but I'd throw change in her guitar case if I was walking by. Now, if you told me Marion Hill did gold, I'd believe you, because he tanks it more than it already had.
So what happens when you have no talent behind the mic and behind the soundboard?
Just like money when I speak.
Yeah, so ratchet. I think I might rather have the selfie girl talking this song out.
Dude, did you know that Selfie didn't make an end of year? Proud of you, America.
And that was Gold, another song I buried 3 years ago. Thanks again, Cora. Number 17 and 17.1.
They tied.
These songs are the same. These videos are the same. They came out in the same year. They're led by two nobodies who will never have another hit because they're so devoid of talent and interest, nobody is actually fans of either of them. Remixes don't make one worse than the other, dumbass YouTube music critic. You're fired.
Okay.
They're both phony dudes using their uninspired and boring songwriting to get in your pants, girl. They both strip their production down to make it more intimate, except for when they don't. The only thing setting them apart is Nash, and I'm sure it wouldn't be that hard to copy-paste him into the other one. Unless you fell for it, these songs are suck.
Except I'd like to address the defense for I Like Me Better.
For Max, nobody cares, agreed upon as ignorable at best, but Lauv gets defended like, whoa, why does everybody hate this? This shouldn't be on the committee video. Huh. I think I like me better for hating it. Better luck never, everybody. Number 16.
I need a one dance.
The 2010s just weren't the 2010s without the most prolific artist ever.
It's kind of weird to think anybody else mattered before 2016, but the way Drake stole the back half of this decade away from everybody wasn't seen by another artist since...
Okay, maybe it happens all the time. Wherever the wheel lands, you get all the hits.
I've never been shy about my hate towards Captain Boring McAlmost Talented. I've also admitted to the calculated and accidental high spots he achieved here and there.
I'm forever linked with Drake. I couldn't be more fine/frustrated with that if I tried.
Did he make both lists? Of course. He goes all out boring or goes home. The man knows how to work the polls.
And the worst thing he made last decade was an unintentional worst list snub.
Yeah. Dropped out of school, now we done.
It was hard to care about anything Drake in 2016. Other than the broken piece of shit that took the year hostage,
Give me a couple minutes, and I'll really tell you how I feel about it.
I found him pretty ignorable. I actually would have never listened to Views if it wasn't for a mega raid I was in. The album starts meh, then plateaus into a bunch of threes, then hits the floor.
This sound like some 4301.
Is this hell? Did I fall into hell?
I could probably ignore everything else terrible about pop style, and it would still make it on here for those 6 notes. It's the most wrong thing I've heard outside of somebody actually fucking up their part on accident. Like, I can imagine a version of this that doesn't sound wrong. The advice I'm about to give doesn't make this good, just passable. There are 6 notes in 2 separate runs. Imagine if instead of having the second run completely deflate the effect and sound completely unusable, it repeats the first 2 notes again and keeps the last the same. I'll attempt to execute this with my shitty editing.
Dropped out of school, now we done rich.
Oh god, I was wrong. That is still horrible.
If you think this is nitpicking, this is a song destroyer of a beat. There's no reason to keep going after you hear it. That's a big ol' skip-worthy moment. If the boring as shit synths don't make you lose your eyes in the back of your own head. It's the shittiest produced Drake hit. Surprise!
But don't count the guy out. he never stops trying to out-garbage the terrible he raps over.
Girl, let me rock your body. Justin Timberlake.
Wow, Drake, you could never make anything lame.
That's the most memorable lyric because the rest are completely worthless. It's about his fame, something he's never ever written a song about.
He does do one notable thing with this song.
See me putting in the hard work now.
It's your fucking fault.
Look at me, took me, shook me, feeling me.
I can be honest, you told me not to be.
He is the source of one of my least favorite tropes plaguing the pop charts. That rigid, uncreative triplet flow bullshit. He wouldn't figure out how to really do it well until Sicko Mode, but he still created a monster.
And then on Views, they put it right next to Too Good, which makes it sound even worse.
This song captured all sides of Drake's worst musical qualities except for falling asleep while singing, and it only became popular because of the first notable album dump. There's only one cool kind of pop style.
Remember, kids, if you're not doing your honorable mentions in the middle of an 11 through 20 video, then you're building unnecessary suspense. Here's half of them.
I need a one dance.
He needs a one dance. What the fuck does that even mean?
Do you need a dance from somebody else? Do you need to dance? Do you really need just a one? Are you an alien? Do you know how the fucking English language works?
Sorry, it's just the main line of the song, and it's completely wrong. This is actually on here because the production is completely incompatible. And Drake sounds like shit. And the sample doesn't fit. You know what? Fuck these videos. This song is the worst song ever. Thanks, 2016.
You should go and love yourself.
Great year that 2016, right? Yeah? I'll quit bitching about it.
Honestly, the first time I heard it, I thought it was great. Really cutting acoustic jam, personal little jab, served its purpose pretty well. The second time, I wasn't thrilled to hear it, but still recognized it as above average for the Biebs.
6,000 times later, I never want to hear it again.
What was once, literally once, a sick burn has been beaten, slaughtered, unrelentingly pummeled into a whiny, butthurt loser who can't get over himself.
And that is how overplay can ruin a song forever.
Oh look, most popular song of the year. And I thought it couldn't get... You know what, never mind.
What do you want me to say? It's pointless, average, and a Maroon 5 song. Of course it's here.
So baby, pull me closer.
If I hear this overrated POS one more time, Kiss FM, I'm ripping out my car radio.
1, 2, 3.
Oh man, this would have been pretty high if it wasn't disqualified for making 2009's end of year. And can we talk about that? Did the listening public really think this was that good?
180 degrees and I'm caught in between.
Man, I wonder why she couldn't surge into this decade with anything other than a hilarious Lady Gaga impression.
You gotta turn the shit up.
3 is desperate in the worst way, and I'm sure happy I forgot about it until now.
What can I say? It's Britney, bitch. Back to the list.
Number 15.
Now what's a real decade list without the Adam Levine 5?
I really wanna love somebody.
Not for a lack of trying, choosing the worst of their post-sellout tracks had its challenges.
You want the moves like Jagger.
Oh, the inciting incident. While I do hate everything the song is and what it stands for, its up-temponess makes it too easy to ignore.
Daylight.
Just too boring to be hateable.
So I'm following the map that leads to you.
Ugh, close, very close to being worse. Too funny.
Wait.
This barely existed to begin with. Love Somebody's utter contempt for you as the listener is too much to not make it the worst Maroon 5 song of all of them. It was the official moment where Adam showed that he could care less about artistic merit. His transparent, phony excuse for feelings was a ploy, and I'm sorry if you fell for it. Nobody put anything in. It's a washed-up band sleepwalking through the whole thing, and we shouldn't stand for it.
To further validate why this is the worst Maroon 5 hit song, I'll use another trash song it inspired.
Baby.
I know a lot of you think this song is fine, but it's a song without effort, heart, or emotion. It's made for relevance and not art, and Love Somebody proved it could work with anybody with a little name recognition. It's all factory music for the easily pleased, and it's sickening.
I'm sure they won't fill the next decade with crap. By then they'll be AARP 5.
Number 14.
Loud, angry scream.
Look, guys, this song is fucking atrocious. Everything I said in 2017 still stands.
I don't know. I've lost a lot of rage towards it.
It's kind of cute how embarrassing it is. Trend-chasing triplet flow, angsty noise-making, shitty video that makes you feel the opposite of what they wanted you to get out of it. It's the whole package.
But like I said in the Average Songs video, I'd still listen to it over something like Perfect by Ed Sheeran. At least it's a joke.
Imagine Dragons are just a big joke. Believer is just funny, but total garbage.
Go watch the original if you want to see my in-depth thrashing. It's one of 6 videos left that still gets me ad revenue.
Number 13.
Sorry. I'll talk about something new.
So, the beginning of the decade was about the party. Woo! We're in a terrible recession. Let's blow our money on alky.
Is that what people were actually doing? I was busy visiting colleges I'd eventually get thrown out of.
The fatigue did set in hard, but I'd also not know because I was too busy enjoying MCR's last studio album on my iPod. What matters is a lot of it has aged terribly. Vapid Nobodies came out of the woodwork to have one party jam and disappear forever, unless some jackass made a video recanting the decade.
Hey, don't be acting so surprised.
Like a G6, like a G6.
It was pretty funny in 2012. This had come on when Cal and I would play Borderlands 2. We'd laugh at the terrible chorus, the goofy line skips, and just the damn thing as a whole. But slowly, the laughter faded. The jokes weren't funny anymore.
This song is so bad, it transcends the meme spectrum back into unlistenable.
This is one ugly, repulsive song. Dev's attitude?
Bottles in the ice.
Alright, least terrible to most. You can pretty easily ignore Dev. The boys, though?
Give me that crystal style. Ladies love my style.
Absolutely nothing they do is good. Lyrically, either it doesn't land or it's so stupid it's hilarious. None of these guys have any personality unless you classify bad at rap as a character trait. They have less personality than Dev, who has less personality than my chair.
Hey, I have character. If I could talk, I'd say stop letting your cat scratch my arms. It hurts.
But even if I know that the right beat can make up for some less than stellar vocal work, it is hands down the worst thing about it.
Like a G6, like a G6.
Have you ever had stomach cramps? This is the sound your stomach would make if sickening churning could be music. This doesn't make me want to party or get crunk. It makes me want to...
Take that bottle to the head.
Yeah, exactly. Only correct thing you've said.
Like a G6 is about as good as a G6 flies. Terribly, because it's a car. What a dumb decade. Number 12.
That's right.
Pitbull is my idol. The dude has faked his way to pop success, and I love it. With a catalog as deep as his, there should be way more failure than there is. And I know many people do see him that way, and boy do I get it. But his kitsch appeal transcends ironic enjoyment for me.
So when Pitbull was bad to me, he was really bad.
Hey, baby girl, what you doing tonight?
Pitbull has a superpower. He can make anything sound good as long as he's into it.
This biggity boy's a diggity dog.
Diggity dog.
I tell her, baby, take a picture of me with a Kodak.
Kodak. This dude is shameless. He'll sample Take On Me for no reason. And Messing Around. Then made the best song of the decade.
Best means funniest now.
Pitbull's strengths also came from the featured artist. I never liked Neo. Now I sure do. Nobody would have ever cared about Havana Brown without Pitbull.
Hey, I care. We Were on the Night is great. Honorable mention this video.
Additionally, the man barely deals with sloppy, ugly beats. He knows he's a pop star, and he just wants you to have as much fun as he is. No rent money, the world's gonna end party jams to end all party jams. That is Pitbull.
Now, what if Pitbull did the dead opposite?
Maybe it was early into him finding his niche. Maybe he put everything into the other singles off Planet Pit. That artistic classic. What matters is the dude doesn't care. This song has "Let's Print Some Money" written all over it. It's just a redundant song. Pitbull has done all of this better in any other song. It's also really annoying. About a fourth of the damn thing is la la la's, like he couldn't make a haphazard enough song, which is why he got that Rolodex out and took the first singer that said yes.
Singer is a strong word.
The guy is grasping. T-Pain's relevance was at its zenith, so he took what he could, except this is what T-Pain does.
T-Pain's power comes from how much fun he's having, just like on Hey Baby. Well, that's no fun at all.
If you thought Pitbull was bad, this shouts absolute desperation for T-Pain. He knew his era of 15 collaborations of fame was coming to an end.
And that's the problem. It's got 2 collaborators and no lead artist.
The both of them are 2 of the most omnipresent guest feature artists of all time. When Billboard had to do a music video history for Pitbull, it was 15 minutes long. Most are lucky to be at 6. These guys needed a third person to carry the load, because we definitely didn't need Pitbull on every verse. I'd take Sean Paul. It's that bad.
Maybe it could have worked with just the 2 of them, or maybe it could have even been forgettable. But once again, the beat is so wretched, here it is.
I just don't get what anybody would get out of it. Party songs around that time were fun, had character, didn't sound like one of Pitbull's solo album tracks.
Trust me, there's a huge difference.
Now go.
I just had to rate Hey Baby worse than like a G6, even though they're nearly the exact same song. The expectation for these 2 is way higher. Nobody cared. And this is why this is the worst for the both of them.
Well, definitely for T-Pain. Nothing's worse than the Pitbull song that was a hit and didn't feature anybody. Can't wait to do the worst of that decade.
Number 11. One of my favorite things about end-of-year lists is people's impressions of an overall year. Like last year, for example. Don't quote me on this because I'm pulling from memory, but the overall impression I got was that it was fine. I feel like somebody said they loved it, and 2 to 3 people said it was the worst. That's what's so beautiful about music taste. Nobody's gonna have the same list or year.
That's why you dislike the video. Thank you for the engagement.
I also find it fascinating to see how polarizing given years can be against each other. Just look at 15 into 16. That was like seeing a beautiful sunset turn into a supernova.
So what am I getting at? Here's the first number 1 worst song of an individual year.
'Cause I got issues.
2017 was about 12 tiers above 2016 in pop music. I'm not saying it was that great. The previous year was easily the worst year of the decade. It included its worst song not being the absolute worst.
Just the absolute 11th worst.
Julia Michaels, writer for many Selena Gomez songs, proved why she let that mistake of talent sing the songs.
So give them all to me and I'll give mine to you.
And I see people complain about Ava Max. What, you want this instead? You poor country listeners.
This shit still gives me chills, and not in that way praying stops your heart, or like replacing the brakes of a car with chalkboards. It just has to stop.
Julia Michaels was the worst singer of the decade, and I stand by it. I don't think the glass on the planet could have survived a second hit.
Bask in the glory.
Did she think leading this was a good idea? She could have stayed in the background, and we all would have been better for it, instead of having to laugh at her non-intentionally ironic insult of her own singing.
'Cause I got issues.
I guess acceptance is the first step, Jules.
Same deal. My observations are all the same. Watch my worst of 2017 video if you want to relive that era where I got views. And that concludes the first and less bad half of music of the decade. Next up, the less good half of the best of the decade.
Until then, all of my worst lists are in the description, as well as this nifty little playlist that has all of my music videos. And subscribe. And goodbye.